All right, Rob, you wrote a very provocative column. Most of your columns are provocative. Pretty much all of them. That's what you shoot for. If you're writing, you're ripping.
Right.
That's a good column, right? A provocative column. That's what
I just think that, right, if you write a middle-of-the-road column, and you know this, Chris, you've written columns, a middle-of-the-road column doesn't do anything. Like you got to move
Leave that
people.
to the beat writers.
Right. That's the middle of the road. As a
Right.
columnist, whether people like it, dislike it, that's the goal of a good columnist to me.
Right. All right, your column was called LeBron's Ugly Truth. He cheated us in the game. I'm going to let you explain before I detonate.
But basically, it's not a cheating like the Patriots or the Astros. That's not what I'm talking about. It's that LeBron, after couldn't even really enjoy his championship. He's so bitter, so busy talking about needing respect, and he wants his damn respect. And I looked at that and I said, that's because deep down LeBron knows that this isn't just talking heads on television, Skip Bayless, Chris Broussard, Rob Parker, whoever else, Max Kellerman, Stephen A. That's not what this is. You've got NBA greats, guys who have played at a high level. You got current players who might not say it publicly, Chris, but, you know.
You see what Maurice Spates tweeted? Did you see that?
No, what was that?
Man, it was harsh. You know, he said, he started out, look, I'm not trying to go at LeBron. He's a great player. But he tweeted, we used to celebrate three-peats. And he had a picture of Kobe and Jordan, you know, after they won their three-peats. And then he said, now something, I don't know exact, but now we claiming a dude's the GOAT for winning 4 in 10 tries. Right. Like that, he tweeted that.
Okay.
And, yeah, it was harsh.
And my thing was just that I think LeBron, didn't believe in himself, and he cheated us from the whole picture, the whole movie. Part of the NBA experience, and to me, Chris, as covering this league since 1987, was the progression that happened. You know, before Isaiah and the Pistons couldn't get past Boston, they finally broke through, won some championships. You know, it was like a process. There's a road that you go through. We saw it with Michael Jordan. You know, couldn't get past the Pistons. I was there at the Palace with Scottie Pippen and the ice pack on his head and the migraine headache. You know, when they lost Game 7 and they couldn't get past Detroit. And then finally they broke through, and then Michael started winning. And LeBron didn't want to go through that process. He just wanted to, you know, take the shortcut off the interstate. He wanted to stack the deck in his favor. And I still believe to this day the reason that he doesn't get, despite all of the great things he's done, stat-wise and all the accomplishments, he doesn't get full credit is that people don't feel good about that, Chris, and it's hard to embrace when they feel like somebody has taken a shortcut, that they didn't go all the way around the park, they went across the park, and they set themselves up. And this is not about he can't move, he's a free agent. LeBron didn't invent free agency or moving. If it wasn't for the Orlando Magic telling Tim Duncan that his wife couldn't fly on the team plane, Tracy McGrady, Grant Hill, and Tim Duncan were going to wind up on the Orlando Magic.
It's interesting you brought that up, Rob. Like, let's say hypothetically that had happened. And, you know, Grant didn't get hurt. And those three went on to win championships.
Well, I
would
think
you hold that against them?
I think it would have been different because of where the mindset was. I don't believe that those guys were like in cahoots. They were all free agents. Orlando had cap space. It didn't come across the same way as if I can't win in these other places and I'm going there. It was just a different feed from what I remember, Chris, and that's why I look at it differently. But my point is, I think that's why LeBron yearns for respect. And I've always, you know, respect is earned, and you don't ask for it. You know, people just look at your resume, and he has a great resume. He shouldn't have to ask any people for them to endorse him or to justify him or tell him that he's great. That should happen just from the work you put in. That's what the column was about.
It was a good column. I think there are several things, and you know I've said this, that I did feel when LeBron left Cleveland that he had sold himself short. I felt, Rob, I'm trying to think of my mindset back then, because I was doing a lot on LeBron at that time. I did like 5 or 6 cover stories on him for ESPN, the magazine, spent a lot of time with him.
That's when you had that plum job and you only wrote 4 times a year.
That's about it for a magazine like that. It was great. But I felt like LeBron was going to pass Jordan. I felt like he was good enough to pass Jordan. And I felt like he did kind of sell himself short because I thought he could have led Cleveland to championships by himself. But maybe LeBron knew, because mentally he wasn't ready, because we saw his first year in Dallas, and in Miami. In Dallas, he wasn't ready yet, and then obviously he learned and he did some soul searching, and he, learned in that organization in Miami and became a different person and player, and obviously ended up winning many after that. But the other thing is, look, Larry Bird went to the Celtics. They had Robert Parrish. They had Kevin McHale, who wasn't great at that point but became great. They had Tiny Archibald even. He was with Bird for his first championship, Hall of Fame point guard. And then Magic went to the team that had Kareem. At that time had Jamal Wilkes, Norm Nixon, who were great players. Ended up getting James Worthy, Byron Scott. They were able to inherit great players right away. And LeBron wasn't. And I know for a fact, having talked to LeBron, he wasn't planning on leaving Cleveland. He felt like, I'm going to win championships, really, no matter who's with me. Early in his career, he was that confident.
Right, you talk to people, right?
Yeah,
right. You talk to him.
He didn't recruit Michael Redd when Redd was a free, which would have been a huge boon for Cleveland. He didn't really recruit Ray Allen when Ray was a free agent, and guys like that. Larry Hughes just went there. I mean, LeBron just made a generic video for all the free agents to look for. But and then he kept falling short, and he saw the Celtics got 3 stars. Kobe's got Pau Gasol. These guys got a second guy at least, if not a third. And he was recruiting. He was trying to get Chris Bosh to come to Cleveland. And Bosh was like, man, I can go to Miami and play with D. Wade. And so he didn't see any way out. And remember, Rob, LeBron also, like Kevin Durant, but even to a higher degree, was under incredible pressure to win a championship by that time. Remember? And I'm not excusing, I'm just saying, all players aren't under that pressure. But LeBron, because of how great he was, it was like, you got to win a ring, dude. You got to win a ring. And you got to win several rings. And I think that that's part of all that led him to go to Miami and play with those guys. And, it's an interesting thing. I do think, to your point, that is a part of why most people feel Jordan's the GOAT, because he did go through that process. And LeBron, well, I don't poo-poo it, he did move around. And whereas his front office couldn't bring him the great teammates, he said, I'm going to do it myself. Magic had greats. Bird had greats. All these other guys, Duncan had greats. I'm going to go get my greats since the front office can't bring them to me. All right, let's get right to it. Is Rob right? Did LeBron cheat basketball and the fans by creating the super teams?
Joshua in Memphis, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Joshua?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Great, man. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. I love watching the show. It's my first time calling.
Well,
thank you, brother. We appreciate it. Don't make it the last.
No, it's not. But I don't agree with Rob. I agree with Chris. I just think that people felt that, like, how it was a how dare you moment. Like, how dare LeBron take the power out of his own hands and go join his own team and not stay with Cleveland when he was a superstar. Like, it was more like, oh, you the best player, so you should do it on your own. But a lot of people forget like Scottie Pippen was not a slouch. Scottie Pippen was probably the second best player in the league to Jordan.
Well,
so he
slow
had
down.
Help.
Slow down
Yeah,
on that.
He wasn't. That's not Joshua. He wasn't.
He's good. He's a Hall of Famer
Never,
legitimately.
And
no.
for all the people who want to pump up Scottie Pippen, he didn't win a championship after Michael Jordan. He never won a Finals MVP. He could have easily,
Not even
Chris.
close.
Right. He could have easily, right, if he was that guy.
Right.
And he had a great finals. It wasn't. Come on, man.
Keeping it real, and Scottie Pippen was terrific the year
Nobody's
that Jordan
bashing
left,
him.
Right? The year Jordan left, his first year, and Scottie led him to 55 wins. But other than that, Scottie didn't do much anywhere else without Jordan. Not in Portland, not in Houston. Houston, he averaged 14 points at 33 years old. In Portland, he averaged like 11, So slow down with that.
Jim in Nevada, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Jim?
Hey guys, great show.
Thank you.
Third time I've actually talked to you guys about this same exact thing, really. I look at LeBron kind of like KD. I think he gets the same respect like KD does because he went to a super team. You look at Michael. He stayed with one team for 6 years, or for his entire career, except for the last 2 years.
The last two, right?
Right, but he built that team.
And let's say this. Hold on one second. Don't go anywhere. Hold on. Chris and I have talked about this. The Bulls were a terrible organization.
Yep.
Terrible.
Yeah, it was like going to the Charlotte Hornets or something like that.
You look at Larry Bird, same thing,
The Celtics were awful at that time when he got there.
Obviously not a bad organization. But.
Right. But the team was
bad. And think of the respect that LeBron would have had he stayed in Cleveland, and this was his fourth championship in Cleveland.
No, it would be different, I think.
In Cleveland. I think it would be way different. And these guys that run and build these super teams and get a championship like KD did, I just don't respect them the same as I do MJ. I mean, listen,
it's hard to win, and Bill Rowland brought this up, Rob. It's hard to win 3 championships in 3 different franchises. I don't care even how good the players you might go to are. It's difficult, especially doing your second year each time. But I do think that if he had just stayed in Cleveland and had 4 rings, I think people might view that differently. And remember, and all the props I want to give him for being the first to win 3 different franchises, a lot of that's because the stars didn't move around.
Right.
Bird never left. He played Bird,
right.
Magic, Isaiah,
they all played for the original team.
Karl Malone went to the Lakers. But, most of them stayed with their one team. Dr. J never left Philadelphia.
Well,
so
I do want to say this. Did you see in the column real quick how I said about LeBron's statue when they finally erected the statue?
I'm glad. That was actually funny. You can go ahead and tell it.
And I just said basically one hand he'll have a basketball, and the other hand he'll have a suitcase. That'll be his statue. Sorry about that.